Am I the asshole for telling my friends I wasn't planning to go on a school field trip in front of a teacher? Please don't repost here or on other sites. This was a couple years ago, but still IDK if I'm in the wrong. Each year very small the teachers, principal know every student, school goes on a 3-day-long field trip. The first couple, the school is fairly new, were engaging and exciting since they were to cities, but last year's had been to a small science lab in the middle of nowhere. Multiple people got bronchitis after that, the staff were unfriendly, and we learned next to nothing. Overall a major step down from previous years. This year we were going to a different science center, also out in the sticks. I had recently been diagnosed with a condition that the school didn't know about since it doesn't affect me at school, but does at night. I technically didn't need to complete the treatment while I was away, but I was uncomfortable with skipping it for 2 nights. Because of this and how bad last year's trip was, I planned to skip this year's. We were told if we didn't go on the trip we had to come to school to do work and write an essay on the topics everyone would be learning about on the trip. I understood and was fine with this. 2-ish months before the trip itself, I was eating lunch with a few of my friends and we were discussing the trip. One of my friends, Ava, was new to the school and asked us our opinions on the previous trip since we were all kinda hesitant apt going this year. The teachers sit near the students at lunch and our teacher, Ms. Mercer, was sitting by us today. I told Ava that I disliked the trip last year and why I didn't plan to go this year, and my friends agreed with me. Ms. Mercer then told us if we didn't have anything nice to say at the trip, we needed to stop talking. To me, teachers shouldn't police conversations, especially if they're harmless, so we kept talking. Another friend, Kat, agreed that she wouldn't come on the trip, so we excitedly talked apt staying back at school together. Ms. Mercer was clearly listening to our conversation and getting frustrated. During recess, I was called to the principal's office where Ms. Mercer also was. The principal began ranting about how disappointed they were in me, how ungrateful I was about the trip that they put so much work into, and told me that the essay writing wouldn't be a fun time with Kat. I was also applying to a STEM school for the next year, and she told me that because I wasn't going on this trip teachers wouldn't write me a recommendation. Ms. Mercer said she believed I was telling all the students not to go on the trip. The principal knew I was interested in going to med school one day, and told me that my attitude wouldn't be acceptable there. I was unable to get a word in, and before I left she told me, not to dig myself any deeper in this hole or tell my friends, who were at the table. So am I the asshole? I don't think so because I wasn't telling my friends that the trip was shitty and we should all skip, and Ms. Mercer shouldn't have been listening to our lunchtime conversation. Edit. Thank you everyone for your responses. Not the asshole. You did absolutely nothing wrong and your reasons for not wanting to go on the trip were valid. You're entitled to your own opinion about past field trips, and it was very wrong of your teacher to interfere with your conversation. What was worse was your principal blackmailing you with the threat of not writing a recommendation to medical school that was so appallingly unprofessional. Since this was a couple of years ago, can I ask what happened? Did you end up going on the trip? Was there any fallout if you didn't? Not the asshole. Get your parents involved immediately as they're threatening your academic, life progression for petty reasons. This cannot go unchallenged. If you leave it and they follow through with their threat it'll be too late. Even if you win, once they've done it you're unlikely to get back on track without at least a big delay. Edit. Just spotted this was a few years ago. How did it all turn out? Not the asshole. I hope you're doing well in your aspirations. You are never obliged to lie to make someone else look good. Not the asshole, but you need to take this to your parents. Not the asshole. If this was a few years ago, how did it pan out? Did they actually not give a recommendation for college? Not the asshole. I fully agree with you, sad life kitty. Get your parents involved. No, you're not the asshole and none of those people deserve to be educators. They were threatening your future because their egos were bruised. A rule of thumb for the future. If someone threatens you to keep your mouth shut, it's usually because if you don't, they'll get in worse trouble than you ever could. Not the asshole. Not liking something isn't a crime. And as a teacher, I'd be interested in knowing what exactly you disliked so much so that I could talk to the trip organizers about making it more welcoming and comfortable, since I doubt you were the only one to dislike it. Update. Am I the asshole for not giving in to my brother's tantrums? Original post. Hello. So a lot of people have reached out to me since my original post. A lot has happened then. I'll try to include much details as I can. So I cut my family off back in December and removed them in all services that will benefit them being connected to me. Since I figured, hey mom, you told me I'm dead to you, then you get no free house from me anymore. So the reactions from our extended family were just as I expected. Most of the adults sided with my mother. My cousins expressed their support to me. I got uninvited with the family reunion I initially sponsored, and isn't that just the worst? My aunts and uncle had barricaded the gate when I arrived at my granny's house. I won't expand on this anymore because this still hurts until now. My mother also sued me for selling the first house back in January. It did not reach the higher courts and I won. Public perception of me got worse though. She and my brother took this defeat to twist the sympathy in their favor. They posted on SOCMED about how I am an ungrateful daughter and I owe them for everything I have. They also blamed me for my father's death. Yes, he died. I did not even get to attend the funeral because I'm banned. When this happened, I almost gave in and signed the papers to give the house to my brother. I blamed myself and believed them my selfishness killed my father. At this point, my boyfriend convinced me to take a break from work and talk to a professional. I did just that, and I'm only now just realizing how ducked up the way they raised me. I can't believe it took internet strangers to realize something is wrong with how they treated to me. To be honest, I almost decided not to post an update. It was last month when my therapist suggested I should do it because this is where me breaking off from them started. On the bright side, I saw how my fiancé's family really like me because of this ordeal. I thought they were just being nice. But shit happened and they supported me every step of the way, especially when my partner had to go overseas for 1 week stay because of his job. They really took care of me and even assured me I'm worth more than my family thinks I am. The nicest thing I ever heard in my life came from his mother. Anyway, last July 21st, my father's birthday, Mother reached out to me. She explained to me that she understood she had no right banning me from his funeral, but at the time, all she can think about is how I cut them off my health plans and it rendered them incapable of supporting my father's hospitalization. I did not realize this and we cried for hours. She said she still blames me though and doesn't think she can forgive me. I think I understand her. My therapist told me that thinking of what ifs is counterproductive, but still, if I could go back in time, I'll help them with this. My brother won't talk to me. That's fine. The feeling is very much mutual. She said she still blames me though and doesn't think she can forgive me. #IBLAMEHER. I believe in natural consequences. You cutting your parents and family off financially after being manipulated and abused is a natural consequence. Your mom can blame you all day long, but her actions are what got the ball rolling. You are amazing and strong for working so hard to move past this. It would be best if you never speak to her again either. She's still blaming you for your father's death, which was something beyond your control. A top-tier narcissist at best will do such things and she fits the bill. Congratulations on standing firm and doing what was in your best interest, and all the luck in the future. Imagine if she wasn't such a greedy woman who started all this mess, her husband might still be alive. She blames you because she doesn't want to take the true responsibility for lighting the match to this dumpster fire. I'd go no contact again. You see the kind of people they are. The only good tie you had left has passed. Don't reopen those wounds to let her rub salt in them. Your father's death was not your fault. Your parents chose to cut you off for not agreeing to an outrageous demand. They should have been prepared for the consequences. Honestly, it doesn't really sound like your dad was that great either. He cut you off and wanted you to give your house away just like everyone else. I'm sorry he passed, but it doesn't sound like he would have treated you any better if he hadn't. I'm betting your mom was making a last-ditch effort to manipulate you into giving the house up. I wouldn't be surprised if she calls Gain saying that she'll forgive you if you give the house to your brother. Just remember that you don't need forgiveness for anything you did in this situation. A hospital would not kick out a sick or dying man. They are required to provide life-saving care. If your parents were removed from your insurance, that is an event that could have allowed them to get Cobra Insurance or AITA Marketplace Insurance. The hospital has people on staff to help with shit like that. If they are old enough, your parents might have also qualified for or already had Medicare, and if their income was low enough, Medicaid. Your mother is lying to you about not being able to afford your father's treatments in order to guilt and control you. Do not believe what she says. Do not let her control the narrative and convince you that you are at fault. Your mother could have told you but instead did a smear campaign against you. Bite the hand that feeds. She's sowing seeds. You are not the asshole, but she wants you to take the blame for your father's death so that when she's given you time to internalize that, she's going to hit you with some manipulation. She isn't done and she wants something from you and she intends to use your dead father to get it. Cut her off. Am I the asshole for telling my husband that I will not rehome my pet rabbit for our daughter Sake? I, 28F, have had my pet rabbit for the past 6 years. My mother got me her on my graduation day because I had wanted a pet for so long, so she rabbit holds a very special place in my heart. I recently got married. My husband, 30M, has a daughter, 12F. He got full custody of his daughter after his ex faced charges for child neglect. I have done my best to be a mother figure for her for as long as I have known my husband. I contribute to her future education savings every month and decided not to have any kids with my husband so that she would not feel neglected because of a biological child. I try my best to discipline her like I would my own child. I even adopted her so she would never feel like she wasn't accepted by me. I always make it a point to attend every meet at her school as well regardless of my schedule. I have done everything in my control to make her feel like my own child. I do not let our daughter pick my rabbit up or go near her, not because I don't love her enough, but because rabbits are sensitive creatures and do not get along with kids who are naturally excited and hyperactive. Also, kids might harm rabbits unintentionally. I house my rabbit in a separate room which is quite large and has toys so she doesn't get bored. I have specifically told my husband not to let her into the room without my permission. He still let her into the room to play with my rabbit when I had gone to work. My rabbit was terrified due to her rough handling and scratched her arms. I came home to find my husband furious with me. I told him this would not have happened if he hadn't let her in despite my warning. Mind you, the scratches weren't too deep and my daughter was completely fine. Also, rabbits do not pass contagious diseases to humans, so it wasn't an issue. I regularly trim my rabbit's nails so it didn't even cause a bleed. He was not ready to listen and asked me to rehome my rabbit. I refused to do so and said he would just have to deal with our daughter not being allowed to play with the rabbit. He said I am an asshole for not caring about her. I replied saying that since she doesn't have allergies or even fear of animals in general, and since my rabbit isn't very aggressive for no reason either, I will not be rehoming my rabbit. He hasn't been talking to me for the past week. Am I the asshole? My rabbit's room has a number lock as well and only my husband knows it for in case of emergencies. So, our daughter doesn't enter in secret. I am in a fix now as to how I could possibly make this situation better. Edit. I will be teaching my daughter to handle my rabbit carefully in future. However, I will also be changing the lock on the door because I no longer trust my husband with the responsibility of supervising our daughter and my rabbit. Also, I'm absolutely not mad at my daughter because she was excited about a pet just like any other kid would be at her age, and it was my responsibility to teach her the right way to go about it. Info. Have you ever been in the room with the rabbit and your daughter together to teach her how to safely handle the rabbit and play with her? She's 12, not a toddler. She should be able to learn how to safely handle the rabbit. Not the asshole. I am concerned your husband might rehome or harm the rabbit behind your back. Not the asshole. Also, she's 12. I think you can have a talk to her how to approach the little one if she is so into it. My grandparents had rabbits as well and they taught us how to handle them when we were children. We didn't cause them harm and in exchange they didn't do anything to us, they let us pet them, we fed them, they basically just knew we were the hand, which got them goodies and soft touches. If she can't contain herself and might cause harm to the rabbit, I get where you come from and it might be better for the two not to interact. But that's an emotional connection and I wouldn't rehome a pet who means so much to me either. We treat our fur partners like family. Not the asshole for your husband ignoring your statement about rabbits' treatment, which led to exactly what you warned him about. This is textbook, surprised Pikachu face. Given his anger, you may want to change the lock. Not the asshole. Sounds like your husband uses the rabbit to entertain your daughter instead of caring for her himself. That is an issue. He doesn't respect you and your boundaries, which is also concerning. I would change the door code for starters. You husband cannot be trusted with it. Not the asshole. I don't know why he's so shocked she got scratched. You didn't want her to go in for this exact reason. To be honest though, a 12-year-old should know how to handle a rabbit more gently than to get scratched. She's not 6. I would take time to teach her how to interact with the rabbit, show her how to pet it, feed it, and play with it. Continue to not let her see it without your supervision though, because clearly your husband isn't supervising her. NTA. Oh my. Is your husband really 30? He sounds more like a DMB teenager. Why would he omit your request to not let a child play with your fur baby? Why does he even think that you need to rehome the bunny that is so near and dear to you? I have so many questions at this point. Please change the lock and do not tell him the combination. This situation could become very bad. He might try rehoming her on his own or worse. Everyone sucks here. Plenty of kids can easily live with rabbits as pets. You and your husband just handled this the wrong way. You simply should have slowly taught your daughter how to handle the rabbit. If you did that, instead of completely isolating the rabbit, this would not be an issue. The girl is 12, not a toddler, that is plenty mature enough to know how to gently handle a pet. Why is the only option rehoming the rabbit? That is nuts? Just teach your daughter how to treat it, just like every other family that has rabbits has done. Am I the asshole for calling out a bride? I, 30 female, have a friend, Hadley, 28 female, who is getting married end of this year, if all goes to plan. I live in a conservative sea country, where tattoos are seen as uncouth and unprofessional. I have full sleeves, while Hadley has a few small ones in her inner arm and ribs, which are easily hidden. Her family doesn't know about them, and I think she is restricting her own autonomy by conforming to their ideology. She has always mentioned that she wants full sleeves, but is worried about how it would affect her reputation at work and how her family would react. She vocally disagrees with her parents when they make a rude remark about people with tattoos, but keeps up the facade that she has no tattoos, which honestly makes her look like a hypocrite. Issue. I am, or was, part of her bridal party, and while dress searching with her mo, and stepmom, I noticed that she only picked off shoulder dresses that conveniently hid her tattoos. I tried recommending a couple of sleeveless ones that would really show off her figure, but she politely declined, saying she wasn't confident about her arms. Somehow, that rubbed me in the wrong way because any artist would love for their pieces to be seen, and she was sort of disrespecting the artist by covering it up. And what's the point of getting tattoos if you don't show them off? She paid a lot of money to get them done and they look absolutely beautiful. At lunch, without her stepmom, I asked if I'm required to cover my tattoos and she said no, that they were beautiful and I could pick any dress that I was comfortable in. Then I asked her if she was going to do the same. She seemed confused, and said she was picking a dress she liked. Then I straight up asked her if she was hiding her tattoos to please her family. She laughed, which pissed me off more, and said no, she just liked off-shoulder dresses. Her mo tried changing the subject, but I asked her if she was ever going to tell her family at least. She said that her tattoos were her own business, and she didn't owe anyone any explanation. Since she was being rude, I excused myself, and went home. My partner, part of the groom's party, told me that night that Hadley is majorly pissed, and her fiancé is annoyed that a non-issue has become an issue. My partner added that I had no right to tell Hadley to change, and it's her wedding, so she can wear whatever she wants for any reason. I tried explaining my perspective but he just rolled his eyes and told me that my insecurities were showing since I'd be the only one with visible tattoos during the wedding. I've complained to my siblings, who are tattooed as well, but they told me that since Hadley didn't even mention anything about wanting to hide her tattoos or ask me to do the same, I did overstep. But at the same time, some of my tattoo artist friends are saying that they understood where I was coming from, and maybe Hadley never considered that she was being disrespectful. You are the asshole. This was none of your business. Why do you feel your opinions matter so much here? I feel she should show her tattoos, so I'm going to confront her to wear a dress that makes me happy and satisfies my wants. Why does someone need to show off part of their body to satisfy you? You are the asshole. Jesus. You told a bride that the dress she loved was wrong. You told a bride she needed to show her body because you weren't comfy with her not doing that. Because your own opinion on tats was more important than her comfort and choice. You told a bride, you have to do this because it's so rude if you don't. And I don't feel right otherwise. You made her wedding and her dress all about you. She wasn't being rude. You were. I hope you're not in the bridal party anymore. That bride needs people who respect her by her side and don't force her to do things she doesn't want to. You are the asshole. You're offended by her disrespecting her tattoo artists. There's no mandate to have a tattoo on display at all times. Mind your own business. You are the asshole. It was none of your business. You created an issue when there wasn't an issue and your friend has a right to be annoyed. Any artist would love for their pieces to be seen, and she was sort of disrespecting the artist by covering it up. And what's the point of getting tattoos if you don't show them off? You are the asshole. Maybe your tattoos are masterpieces that you like to show off, and that's your right. Clearly, your friend's tattoos are more personal. She choose not to show them off, it's her choice. The real disrespect here is telling your friend how she should dress and what part of her body she should show off. Respect her boundaries. You are the asshole. It's her body, her family, and her choice. You don't get to decide how or when she outs herself. And no, not all tattoos are meant to be shown off. I have one that no one can see unless I purposely show it to them. My family doesn't know about it for the exact same reasons. Because her decision has no effect on you or anyone else whatsoever, I think you need to unpack why you are upset by this. No one is getting hurt here. Maybe you feel judged by her for having visible tattoos since she isn't willing to get one? Do some reflecting and apologize to your friend. Don't let something like this ruin a friendship. You are the asshole. WTF is your problem? You are disrespecting her autonomy here. She sounds perfectly lovely and respectful towards you and other people, but you are just being rude and malicious for no reason. I can't believe you are 30 years old. Grow up. You are the asshole. Why are you even getting involved with what style dress she will wear? Her tattoos are none of your business. If she does or doesn't tell her family about the tattoos, it's none of your business. Your tattoo artist friends, none of their business. Her dress choice, none of your business. It's her wedding, you don't have a perspective. So being so entitled. You are lucky to be included at all with that attitude.